Man, you already know what it is. Jay Williams, Let's Live Life, and we're back. Happy Friday. The sun has just come up. As y'all can see, it's rising to my left. I'm on my way to work. Thank God it's Friday. To my people in the front, thank God it's Friday. So what we're going to do today is get into why do guys keep going back to jail? Why do they keep returning to prison? Turned on the news last week, a name popped up. Somebody I've spoke about in the past. He's resurfaced. He was a cellmate of mine. Spoke about him a lot. Played a major part in my bid. Things that happened. He is on his way back to the penitentiary for a very long time after staying free for a very, very long time. Can't beat me, man. They got all they gonna get out of me. I am done. Stick a fork in me. Last night we went out to Firebird's Wood Grill. Me, Domi, this girl Edie, my wife, my son. Had a blast, had the striped bass. That jump played a number on my stomach this morning. But yeah, it is Friday. That means it is payday. Gotta get this money. Gotta get the guys paid. So with that, we'll jump into why the guys keep going back to lock up. Why do these guys keep reoffending? Do they like it? Are they mentally ill? Are they just crazy? Do they not care? Do they miss being locked up and the guys that are in there with them? What is it that would have somebody constantly going back to the place that when we're all there, we hate the most? You know how to seen it. You know how to lived it. So, let's relive it. People tend to think that since I've been locked up, I have the answers for everything. People think that because I've been locked up, I can solve their problems or at least try to help them with what they got going on. When I can help, I will. If I have an answer, I'll give it. With all the emails I get, I do my best to respond. But a lot of the emails have something in common. A lot of them are mothers, fathers, family members of guys that have been down the wrong road and are going down that road again. Dear Jay, yada, yada, yada. I have this loved one, yada, yada, yada. Been in and out, doing the same things again. What are we doing wrong? How can we help them? This is what he's got going on. This is what she's got going on. Sincerely. At the end of the day, people have got to want to change. Nothing you do is going to make somebody do something they don't want to do. People have got to want more. They've got to want better. When they decide to change, if it's not too late, they will. For some people, that change comes early on. I know guys that did one day in jail, one night in jail, and that was it for them. The life of crime, man, this ain't for me. How do you keep going back to jail, Jay? How do you stay in prison? Like, this is crazy that you do this. Not me. I'm not doing this ever again. That would be the end of it. Some guys go to jail and they're like, man, this ain't that bad, man. And they keep going back. And even if it is bad, some people just do not care and just continue to get locked up. I guess to get into my homeboy's story, I've got to revisit some of the other stories just to let y'all see the severity of it and how common it is for guys to reoffend. A couple months back, I did a story on a friend of mine, a guy that used to be a friend of mine. I grew up with this guy, Kevin Rice. I showed pictures of him prior to him being incarcerated and what he looked like today. He's the same age as me, but if you didn't know him, you'd think this man is in his late 50s. He had done several, I think 3 different prison bids, and a whole bunch of jail bids. And then here recently, he slaughtered a man that lived with him at the halfway house. There's no other way to put it. He butchered this man, tied this man up, took a knife to him, killed the man. Prior to this, he had got caught with a bunch of guns just a couple months before this. So he was already going back to prison for the gun charges. But now with this homicide, this abduction, this kidnapping, tying this man up, all I can say is he better be glad that Virginia did away with the death penalty, because all those crimes combined into one would have 100% put him on death row. The guy I knew was a good guy. I know you're like, how's he a good guy? He did this and this. The guy I knew. That guy that did that night, I don't know that guy. I never met that side of him. But none of that matters now. We're the same age. He might be a year older than me. He will never ever see the streets again. The next time he leaves prison will be after a doctor's put a stethoscope to his chest, determined that his heart is not beating, and he will be rolled out in a black bag on a stretcher off to a morgue somewhere. If he's not killed in the course of being in prison over the next 40, 50 years, then his other option is to die of a disease or old age. Tillman and Kevin Golfin, both guys I grew up with, both guys I went to high school with. Tillman being the older brother. I think Tillman was 19 because I was 19, and his brother Kevin was 17. Kevin had run-ins with the police, detention center, little small stuff, nothing major. Tillman, on the other hand, being the older brother, had never, ever had any type of problems with law enforcement. Never been in trouble. Crazy enough, the first time he would ever be put in handcuffs, it would be for 2 counts of capital murder. It would be for killing 2 state troopers. His brother, Kevin, was, since he was a juvenile, was ultimately sentenced to life. Tillman, last I heard, I believe they may have pulled him off of death row, but he was given the death penalty, and he's been sitting on death row for over 20 years. This is a guy I used to share notes with in Mr. Brock's English class in 9th grade. Good friend of mine. I'd skip school with him. We'd smoke. Everybody else is in the school, and we out back smoking blunts, right? His first trip would be for double homicide. Travis and Philip Friend, 2 guys I knew in the streets and that I met originally from the detention center. Travis was a big, burly dude. He was the biggest dude in the detention center, hands down. For anybody that was in there back then that remembers them, remembers how big Travis was. Philip had the afro, and he was the younger brother. In and out of trouble, in and out of trouble, in and out of the detention center. They would go on to kill several different truckers in attempts to take these trucks, go to the West Coast, find somebody that needed weed, shipped, drive the haul back in the stolen big rig and the stolen tractor trailer of the man they had just killed for this tractor trailer. Their plan was to load it up with weed, bring it back to the East Coast, sell it for $20,000 so that the brother could get his Cadillac back that had been repoed and impounded. They were right outside of Texas going through a weighing station. When the guy that worked at the weighing station, he knows what truckers look like. He sees truckers all day, every day. This truck pulls up. There's a bunch of young dudes in it. Things don't look right. He called the authorities. There's 4 of them total involved in this, all given life sentences. Me, what works for me is I try to keep where I've been and what I've been through fresh in my head. A lot of people forget where they've been. And when you forget where you've been, It's not hard to end up back there. If you've been through something traumatic or you've done something in your life to cause you to be in a situation that was not desired, that you didn't like, that was rough for you, keep that fresh up here. Think about it. Don't try to block it out, because now you're trying to forget about it. Not caring about it, not thinking about it, not thinking about the consequences of your actions. These are the things that get us locked up to begin with. Those are the things that get guys locked back up when they get out. Statistically speaking, more guys reoffend and go back to prison than actually stay free. I am a part of the small percentage of men that get out and have stayed out, along with Banky Pound. Big salute to Banky Pound. The other day was 2 years Banky's been home after doing 33 years in prison. He made parole on a life sentence. If you haven't checked out Banky Pound, you go check out Banky Pound. We had a long conversation the other day, about an hour. Banky's one of the people, man. He's such an awesome dude. I could talk to Banky forever on the phone. But we just laughed and joked, told different stories about people we know. We know a lot of the same people, a lot of the same guards, inmates, cons, and stuff. He's another prime example of, wash my hands with this, I've had enough. Everybody doesn't think that way. I know gay guys. I know, no offense to the gay guys, I know gay guys that will get out and intentionally get locked back up to go be with somebody that they fell in love with while incarcerated. Or to just go back to jail or go back to prison, because in there, them gay dudes are like, they're like queens. If that's how you want to put it. Because there's so many guys that indulge in that out here, people will look at them different. But in there, it's so normal and you become so accustomed to dealing with it on a day-to-day that them guys are taken care of. You better not think you're going to run up and put your hands on one of them gay boys. You're going to fight him. You're going to fight his man. You're going to fight the dudes that are waiting in line to try to holler at him. Like, everybody wants to fight for him to show that he belongs. I know homeless guys that'll get out, stay out for a little bit, wintertime will come, and rather than sleep on these cold streets, they'll reoffend. I told y'all about the dude that just waited till the cop drove by one time, walked over, picked up a big-ass rock, and busted out the car window. Cops, man, what the hell's wrong with this dude? Turn around, get on the ground. Thank you. Take me to jail. I'm cold and I'm hungry and I need somewhere to sleep. But that's not typical. What is typical is that people just do not think. Or people still have the mindset after getting out of prison that they're smarter than everybody else. That they can trick the system. Or that I'm going to do this for a little bit. I'm going to get out the game. I'm going to be rich and I'm going to retire. That is definitely what's happening with the story I'm about to get into with a friend of mine that I just seen in the news. I've had guys work for me in the past. Usually it would be Spanish guys that would come to me on a side note and say, hey, if you want to make some real money, I know some people back in Mexico that get you whatever you want for that price. As long as you got that money, oh, yeah, I can change your life. I could turn you into a millionaire this year. What do you say? What do I say? No. I'd rather be broke and free than rich, then broke, and locked up. Let's get into the purpose of this video. I wanted to give y'all some backdrop on guys that I know that are reincarcerated. There's a lot of them. Michael Cottrell, Mike Powell. The list for me and the guys I know, especially where I grew up at in my inner circle, majority of them are dead. That's the God's honest truth. I've got more friends that are now dead than I do incarcerated. Them guys I came up with have died in the streets, died to gun violence. A lot of these guys have, a large majority of these guys are now starting to die from overdoses. Then you have a select few of us from my neighborhood that made it out, that are doing okay. Then you got a whole bunch of guys that are strung out. 1 foot in the grave, 1 foot in the prison. And it's coming. I don't want to do that. I want to keep doing what I'm doing. Keep coming to these job sites. Keep running this construction company. Keep doing construction. Keep being a father. Because let's face it, my shittiest day out here is better than my best day in there. Let's get into this story. Got a little hot. Had to come out there sweatshirt. 2006, I am in Greensville Correctional Center. I'm in 7 building. I'm in cell 124. I have a cellmate at the time that is a chronic gunner. He came in. When I came into the cell was empty. Then I get this tall ass black dude in there. Was a straight bass head on the streets. All he did was tell stories about how he smoked crack on the streets. So dude was really messed up in the head because he had like smoked his brain cells. You ever met somebody that did so much drug that it like messed up their chemical imbalance? They were forever messed up by it. This dude was one of those dudes, right? Right out the gate, I come to understand he had just come from the hole. He is a gunner. He is a chronic masturbator. I'd see him standing at the door, and the way our cell is positioned, cell 124 is right. There's a long tier you walk down. It's on the top tier, and the control booth is right here. So in our cell, you can look straight down. Control booth being lower than the top tier. You can look down and see the officers in the booth. I would catch Larry just standing there at the door, prowling, stalking, looking at the female in the booth. Didn't matter if she was white, black, young, old, fat, skinny, toothless. He did not care. I guess females wasn't a big thing to him on the streets. He was just pretty much just smoking hardball all day. 20 showers a day sometimes. And this is not an exaggeration. If you've ever been locked up with a chronic gunner, he would go in the shower, standing there and watch the women in the control booth and gun all day. Get out, go right back to the cell. Sometimes 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, he was long-winded. He'd head right back to the shower. I pick up on it. I said, look, man, I know you're a gunner. I'm not a gunner. I don't get down like that. I don't mess with these females in here. Like, what you're doing to me is some weird shit. Like, don't do this in the cell, man. Don't do that. I always see you at the door. Like, you can look, do whatever you're going to do. Even that's creepy to me because you're just standing there staring at this woman. I know she's got to see you up here. Like the eye in the sky peeking around the side of the door. That's all she sees. Because it's a metal door. All you see is this. Peeking out the slot, right? No, I would never do that. I said, look, I'm just telling you. I don't get down like that. Keep your junk in your pants. Do not pull that out with me in the cell. Don't let me wake up and you be at the door. Because I can see what he was doing. He was at the door waiting for the perfect moment. And he would keep looking back. And why you keep looking back here? Like to see what I'm doing. Because he wants to know if I'm asleep. I'm asleep one night. That's what I hear. Wake up. He's at the door. He's going to town. Not paying no attention to the fact that I done woke up. We get into it. We get to fighting. My next cellmate that came in would be my cellmate for a while. I've talked about him in other videos. This is the blood dude I told you, Brim Gang, that I was in the cell with for a while. We got really close, man. He was from Broad Rock. Knew a lot of the people I knew. They called him Doughboy on the streets. All the gang members respected him. You know, he was known to put in work in the streets. He had a reputation for himself. Me and dude got close pretty quick, right? So after finding out he's from my area, I call home. Talk to some people I know from the neighborhood, and they're like, Doughboy, that's my dude. He's solid, yeah. Was getting money out here, yeah. And they ran up in dude's house one night, in the middle of the night, messed that dude all up with his daddy standing right there. Got into it with his daddy too. They solid. They do their thing. They do their thing on the streets. And like I said, he gets money. He hustles. So I know he's somebody I can click with. Within a year, me and him both ended up in the whole thing with the visitation room and drugs being brought into the prison came to light. His girl was the one that got caught up front, and my baby mama got caught coming into the visiting room right outside the visiting room where the bathrooms are. And that would be the last time we would see each other face to face while we were locked up. We should sing kites to each other in the hole, yell down the tier to each other. I get the tray man that passes out the food trays to take little kites to him, kind of try to get our story straight for when court's coming. We got to talk about this because we got pending court cases now while we're locked up. I don't know what ended up happening to him. I don't know if they released him to the other side of the yard, if he got shipped. I don't know. I come back out on the yard almost a year later. After almost a year being in the hole, I get released to the yard. And that was the end of it. All the blood dudes on the yard at that time, I was cool with. My cellmate was Brim Gang. He was a known blood member, you know, and I'd always had, it'd be a whole bunch of blood dudes at the cell just nonstop. If we mealed up, I'm right in the mix, we meal up together, right? Especially with me being from Richmond. I finish up my bid. I come home. I started my construction company. And I want to say at this point, this was probably around 2018. Maybe a little bit later, but I'm going to say 18 at the earliest. And I'm driving through Northside in one of my work vehicles. I believe I was in a work vehicle. And I'm sitting at a red light, and it looked like, I believe he was in a Lexus, like the little SUV, and it was parked at the light right across from me. And I see, dude, yo. And I'm looking, and the face looks familiar, and I'm like, what the hell is this? So I roll down the window, and I lean out, and he's like, yo, it's me, Adian. What up, AD? What up, dope boy? How you been? Pull over, let me holler at you. So he pulls over the side of the road. I do a U-turn, pull up behind him and park. He gets out. We exchange numbers. And we stand there for like 30, 45 minutes just catching up on what's up with life. What's up with you? He tells me he owns a demolition company. He's like, we go in, we do all the demo work on construction. I tell him, damn, I own a construction company. I might be able to use you. It's like, well, if you ever got any demo work, hit me up. I got a crew of guys. We'll come in there and knock it out. We can link up on the outside now and, you know, do something positive in life. I said, all right. He said something, and now it all kind of makes sense. He's like, yeah, man, I just bought a house. I'm about to close on another house. All right, that's what's up. At the time of the construction, I was making phenomenal money. We're talking just profit-wise, after everything's taken care of with the business and the payroll, easy 6 figures a year, way over 6 figures a year. With him doing demolition, he told me the company had been up and running a while now. I could see where he could, you know, buy houses if the money's rolling in like that, so I had no reason to second guess it. We never spoke again after that. I started to call him on a demo job, and I'm like, I like to keep my circle small, not bring many people in. I don't truly know what he's got going on 100%, so I'm going to leave that alone. Yeah. We never spoke again, like I said. The next time I would hear his name would be a couple weeks back. So when sitting there watching the news, I hear of a local man who was just sentenced to, I think it's like 12 years, 145 months in prison. And they said that over a course of months, they had been watching this man. And that every other week, he would pick up 10 kilos of cocaine. And he would deliver it to AD Barth. And he would then distribute it through his DTO. For y'all that don't know none of that, that's drug trafficking organization. So they started watching him. Made some control buys. They infiltrated the organization. Got some cops up in there to see what was going on, make sure it is what they thought it was. And it was. He would go on to be sentenced to 225 months. That's almost 20 years in prison. They seized all his houses. He had several houses he had bought at this point. He was getting the keys for $30,000 a piece. Paying for them. Money was going back to Mexico. The cops are not stupid. They catch on to this stuff. And he was sentenced in 2021 to almost 20 years in prison. A Spanish guy just got sentenced this month and will be spending a long time in prison. I've actually had guys that work for me, different guys, in the past tell me, I got that connect if you need it, Jay. Man, I can get you whatever you're looking for. Yeah, man, I got a plug, a mean plug. I can plug you in, get you all this, all that. And my response is always the same. No. Nah. Like, let's not even talk about this again. I am good, man. Like, I'm not trying to go back to prison. People see that fast money and it excites them. The thoughts of getting rich, being in the game, having way more than what you have now, it excites them. What they don't take the time to stop and think about is, what if I get caught? What happens if them cops come through that door or they get wind of what I'm doing? People try to take the precautions not to get caught, but they take those chances. Apparently, this guy that he was networking with worked for him at one point, just like I had the guys offer me. Told him, we can do more than this. I got a plug through the cartel. We can come up with the money. As soon as you're ready, I can get the keys floating in. And every 2 weeks, he was moving 10 keys. I can only imagine how he felt when it all came crashing down and he found himself back in handcuffs. When he knew that he was going in front of the judge, they had all this evidence, all those houses that he collected along the way and bought were seized, taken by the police. The cars, all the different vehicles, any financial, any bank accounts, any cash, anything of value was taken by the U.S. government. And AD was sent back to prison, where he will stay. He's 37 in 2001, so he's 38 now. And he'll be coming home around the time he's 60. I try to preach to y'all, and I hate to say or use the word preach, but I try to talk to y'all, to wake people up and stop people. I've told y'all this, and this is a fact. Being a criminal, a drug dealer, whatever, you have to get lucky every time. The cops just have to get lucky once. I know guys that sold drugs for the very first time and went to prison. I know guys that held things for people, weren't even selling drugs, got caught with them in their car and went to prison. I've met guys that had year-long runs, felt untouchable and turned all the way up. Guns, money, cars, females, jewelry, beautiful houses, everything you can think about. And today, at this very moment right now, they're sitting in a prison somewhere with a locker full of noodles, whole shebang potato chips, sodas, toothpaste stacked up on the counter, an envelope with stamps in it, waiting on mail to come by. The life they knew, it's over. The money they made is gone. Adrian Barth will be an old man when he gets out of prison because he took the temptation. He fell for the okie doke. He forgot where he came from. I hated seeing that man on the news. And they didn't even show his picture. They were showing the Spanish guy's picture and talking about the whole thing. And I was just looking at him and I kind of looked away from him. He was doing something. And then I heard him say, yeah, his co-defendant was sentenced to such amount of time last year. And then they said the name Adrian Barth. And I looked over at the TV and I was like, wow. Wife's like, what? And I'm like, it's my dude, man. That was my cellmate. It's from Broadway. It's the dude I caught the drug case with inside of prison. What's up with him? He got sentenced. 225 months. That is a long ass time. You multiply 225 times 365 days and see what number you come up with. And that's how much time he has to do before he gets out of prison. Nobody was hurt. Nobody was killed. Nobody was robbed. They're not playing with these drugs. If you're willing to take the risk, hoping for the reward or the benefit, be willing to, wear what comes with it. I'm not built like that. I'm going to tell you now. I'm not built like that. I'm not built to have no cops investigate me or get wind of I'm moving 10 keys every other week. I'm not built like that. I love my family to the point that I couldn't do another bid. It would rip me to shreds the moment my head laid down and I closed my eyes and envisioned my son at home asking where I'm at. It would crush me to know that I let everybody down. If I had to work at every 7-Eleven in this area 3 shifts a day to make ends meet, That's what I would do, because I'm coming home at the end of the night. Adian's not coming home for a long time. He's not. He's gone. Leaves behind his family, children, friends. He went from trying to take care of people and handle business to now they're all going to have to support and take care of him till the day he comes home. At that age, a lot of people are going to pass away while you're gone. Your mom, your dad, friends and loved ones. They're going to die. They're going to be gone. You're not going to be there to say goodbye. When they're in the hospital on that ventilator taking their last breaths, you're not going to be there because you chose the money. You tried to get rich quick. This is what I'm going to do. I hope that somebody watching changes their plans for the future and what they got going on. It always ends bad. It really does. You might get lucky 1 or 2 times. You might make a sale and not get caught, and then make another sale and get caught. You got lucky. You might get caught on the 3rd sale, or it might be the 300th sale, or it might be the 1st. But the bottom line is you will eventually get caught. There will be no mercy. No matter how much you beg, how much you tell the judge, I'm sorry. Doesn't matter if you have everybody on your family tree standing in that courtroom on the day that you go in front of that judge and that prosecutor. They're going to sentence you and send you away. And at that point there, it was all for nothing. You had your fun. Now it's time to lay it down. We'll see you again when you're a really, really old man. Sending you to the Department of Corrections for X amount of years. Have a nice life. I hope that upon your release, almost 20 years from now, you don't get out and do the same thing. May God be with you. Those are all my final thoughts on the subject. Live your best life. Think about what you do before you do it. Weigh the risk and the reward. If there's even a chance that you're going to lose your life behind this, are you really making progress in life? Are you? When them people come up and put them handcuffs on you, them blue lights go on behind you, is it going to be worth it at that moment? If the answer is no, then please stop what you're doing. My Friday has come to an end. My day is over. I had an eventful day. Not even going to get into it. It's not even worth talking about. But I hope y'all got the message in the story, man. I actually lived in this street life. There's no denying that. All the guys I ran with were criminals. I had a select few that weren't. There's no denying that. And it shows in the fact that all the guys that I once kicked it with are making the headlines, are making the news. I don't ever want to turn on the news and see any of y'all on it. Not unless you're doing something good. So anyways, these jails, detention centers, these facilities, these prisons, they're all just crazier worlds inside of this already crazy world we live in. And as always, y'all know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to keep y'all entertained. Are you not entertained? And like always, this is Jay Williams. Let's live life. To all my real ones. And there are some real ones watching. Because y'all still watching me. Man, y'all know how we do. Salute. I'm going inside. I ain't about to go to prison for nobody. Y'all can give my bed to the next man or the guy that doesn't listen to this video. I'm going to go heat up a Hot Pocket. Salute.